Welcome to the April 14th, 2021 meeting of the Plan Commission of the City of Lake Forest. I am Rosemary Kerr, Chairman of the Commission. This meeting will be conducted remotely in compliance with Governor's Executive Order 2020-07, issued on March 16th, 2020, that suspended certain Open Meetings Act provisions relating to in-person attendance by members of a public body. The Governor's Order, number 1, suspends the requirement in Section 2.01 that members of a public body must be physically present, and number 2, suspends the limitations in Section 7 on when remote participation is allowed. Members of the public can view the meeting by following the public audience link, which is included on the meeting agenda, available on the city's website. This meeting is also being broadcast on cable TV channel 17. Please go to the newly improved City of Lake Forest website, where the link to meeting agendas is on the homepage. Public testimony is welcome. Members of the public who wish to testify during the public comment portions of the meeting can do so by using the raise hand function on the screen or by calling 847-810-3643. That's 847-810-3643. City staff will be on site at the city's municipal services facility during the meeting. However, the plan commissioners will participate remotely. At this time, I would like to introduce the members of the commission and staff, and given the Zoom format, when I call your name, please raise your hand. Commissioner Moorhead, Commissioner Athenson, Commissioner Douglas, Commissioner Dixon, and Commissioner Freeman. And for the city staff, Director of Community Development, Kathy Cerniak. Consideration of the minutes of the January 13th, 2021 Plan Commission meeting, as well as the March 10th, 2021 Plan Commission meeting, will be postponed until the next meeting. We will continue with the agenda item for the evening. This is a public hearing for consideration of a request for approval of a re-subdivision to reconfigure 2 existing lots and establish proper access and utility easements. No additional lots are proposed. The property is addressed at 477 Illinois Road. Property owner Rose A. Sloan, Representative Michael Edelman, attorney, and Sean Sloan, son of the owner, may also be participating. At this time, I would like to ask commission members if they have any ex parte contacts or conflicts of interest to report. Thank you. Then I would now like to have staff promote the petitioner's Representative Michael Edelman, whom I already see here, and I see Sean Sloan there, who may attend to address the commission so that I can swear you in as presenters. Please stand and raise your right hand or remain visible on Zoom. Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Mr. Sloan?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Edelman, we are ready for your presentation on this item. And to any member of the public who would like to speak on this matter during the public comment period, the call-in number is 847-810-3643. Thank you. Mr. Edelman, please proceed.
Great. Mrs. Chairman, rest of the Plan Commission members, staff, thank you for making the time to hear our petition this evening. I prepared some notes to give a brief summary of what we're attempting to achieve here. It duplicates our statement of intent to some extent in the staff report, but for the benefit of any third parties, here's what we're up to. We're requesting tentative and final plat approval for a 2-lot R1 residential subdivision for a 1.53 acre parcel of land, which is actually 3 parcels of land combined, located at 477 Illinois Road. The subdivision application is made by Sean Sloan, the son of Rose Sloan, his mother, who owns the property and has resided there the past 38 years since 1983. This petition involves the effective consolidation of an existing 1978 2-lot subdivision with a third contiguous vacant parcel of land and re-subdividing the aggregate of the 3 parcels into a newly configured 2-lot subdivision, approximately 50% larger. In large measure, this petition is a housekeeping matter tidying up a long overdue loose end from the 1980s. Brief history of the property. In 1968, the plat of the Calvert subdivision was created, and the existing house at 477 was originally constructed that same year. The residence contains approximately 3,800 square feet gross floor area and 3,300 square feet net of the garage. In 1978, the Rasmussen family, who then owned the property, created the 2-lot Rasmussen's re-subdivision of the Calvert subdivision. Lot 1 in Rasmussen's re-subdivision contained the residence and a 20-foot wide private driveway to Illinois Road. Lot 2 was situated to the south of and contiguous to Lot 1 and was provided access via an easement over the driveway by a simple notation on the 1978 Rasmussen plat. In 1979, a year later, the Rasmussens hired Stranger Plumbing of Lake Forest to reconfigure utilities under the driveway such that both Lot 1, that's the lot with the residence, and Lot 2, the vacant lot, were provided separate copper water services and their own sanitary sewers. And I had previously furnished Exhibit A, which showed from the city's house file records the work done by Stranger. In 1983, James and Rose Sloan acquired a third parcel. In 1983, that's when they acquired the original parcel, that is both lots 1 and 2 from the Rasmussens, and they moved into the house. 3 years later, in 1986, and here's where it gets interesting, the Sloans additionally purchased a parcel of land, which was the backyard of 483 Illinois Road, then owned by Ken and Jean Hallen. That parcel of vacant land approximates 20,246 square feet. Mind you, R1 zoning requires a minimum lot size, of 16,250 square feet. And herein the loose end lies. Under our city codes, chapter 156.007A, there are certain exceptions for subdivisions, which provides that contiguous lot owners can transfer property from one to the other under, you can call it a property line shift or a yard swap, with the caveat that no new additional lots are created and none become non-conforming as a result of such a shift or swap. However, the Sloans have no records. Sean couldn't come up with any records, and staff couldn't come up with any records evidencing that the Sloans and the Hallens actually got the city to formally participate in and approve that land transfer back in 1986. So consequently, we submit these properties to the Plan Commission this evening in order to clean up those loose ends and formalize the matter. In 2016 and 2017, Sean's father, James Sloan, by then aware that the 3 parcels hadn't been properly consolidated according to city code, hired attorney George Covington and Anderson Engineering to tidy up these loose ends. However, Mr. Sloan passed away in August of 2017, and those efforts ceased. In December of this past year, 2020, Sean wanted to move the matter forward on behalf of his mother and called George Covington to resurrect. George had since retired and referred Sean to me. The past couple of months, we've been working with Anderson Engineering and city staff, including input from the city's attorney, Julie Tappendorf, and that's how we derived the plan before you for your consideration this evening. The property contains approximately 1.5277 acres, which is 66,547 square feet. Under R1 zoning, which requires a minimum lot size of 16,250 square feet, in theory, this parcel could qualify for 4 lots. We are requesting plat approval of only 2. Our intent is to create a new 2-lot subdivision or re-subdivision from all 3 parcels, namely lots 1 and 2 from Rasmussen's 1978 subdivision, combined with the 1986 backyard acquisition from the Hallens. The new lot 1 would remain with the existing 1968 residence situated on it and also include the driveway. The new lot 2 would contain approximately 25,110 square feet of land area, well over the minimum required for R1. And access and all utilities would be provided via a new easement over and under lot 1's driveway. Under the city's building scale ordinance, this new lot 2 would be allowed up to 4,255 square feet of floor area maximum to be constructed in a new residence. This maximum size would be in keeping and compatible with the lot 1 residence and surrounding homes. The subject property does not appear to be located within the historical, residential, and open space preservation zoning overlay. Presently, lot 2 as proposed is essentially 100% mowed lawn with no trees whatsoever within or in close proximity to the proposed building envelope. There are no wetland areas on either of the lots, and storm drainage for lot 1 has never been problematical. Finally, an easement over the driveway was created in 1978 for lot 2 of Rasmussen's re-subdivision by way of a simple notation on that plat. We're going to extinguish that easement and create a far more comprehensive recorded document in its place, setting forth the rights and obligations of the parties, including not only access, but easements for utilities, including water, sanitary and storm sewer, telephone, and cable. Excuse me. And that pretty much sums it up.
Thank you. Will Mr. Sloan be making any comments at this time?
He's available to answer any questions you might have.
I think Mike covered
nope.
it.
Go ahead, Sean.
I think Mike covered it, but I am available.
Okay, well, members of the commission may have questions for you later on in the meeting agenda. Now, we will have identification of issues by staff, not to exceed 5 minutes. Kathy?
Thank you, Chairman, Kara, members of the commission. This is, as Mr. Edelman described it, really a cleanup matter. We did talk with the city attorney initially about the approach to this, and at that time, the suggestion was simply to do an administrative property line shift to move the lot line between lots 1 and 2 to the south to provide adequate space for the existing house on lot 1 to assure that setbacks were met. But following that and talking with the city engineer, he advised that he would require re-subdivision of the parcel, really to clearly lay out, document the reconfigured parcels, to clearly incorporate the parcel that was acquired in 1986, and importantly to establish the reconfigured easement. He felt that a plat of re-subdivision properly recorded would avoid confusion in the future. And that is why we're before you tonight. Importantly, no additional lots are being created. No change is being made to the access. The existing driveway will remain. No public improvements are required for this property. And as is normally required, when plans come forward for a new home on Lot 2, an engineered grading and drainage plan will be required and will be subject to review and approval by the city engineer. Importantly, the city attorney noted that although the 1986 land transfer was not done in accordance with city regulations at that time, that is, it wasn't approved either through a re-subdivision or through an administrative property line shift, there really is no recourse for the city today to require a portion of that, the Sloan parcel, to be sold to the new owners of the 483 Illinois Road property. That transfer of land did create a non-conforming condition for the 483 Illinois Road property. That will be, could potentially be a burden on the 483 property in the future. As some of you know who have served on the zoning board or serve on the zoning board, one of the requirements in order to get a variance from the required setbacks is that neither the current nor a past property owner created the hardship. If, for instance, the current or future owners of 483 Illinois Road wanted to add on to their home, I believe they may have a difficult case trying to justify a hardship for a zoning variance. By the same token, if someone wanted to demolish the house on 483, the zoning setbacks in effect currently would need to be followed. And I might have just said this, but the current owners of the 483 property are not the property owners who entered into the land transfer deal. So they have come in later. So we did have that discussion about whether there was any recourse or whether the 483 Illinois Road property owners needed to be involved. And there really is no way for either the Sloans or the city to require them to be involved, or any way for the city to require any corrective action to address the current non-conforming condition of the 483 property. As you all know, there are many non-conforming conditions throughout the community, particularly in this neighborhood. I don't have any further comments, Chairman, but I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. And now we come to questions and requests for clarifications from commission members to the petitioner or staff. Commissioner Freeman?
None, thank you.
Commissioner Moorhead?
Thank you. A couple questions for Kathy, just so I get a clarification on these points. In the lot and depth section in the code, it says the in 159.008 E3, it says the access area shall be part of the lot and depth. My question is, if we're doing a re-subdivision, there is no, I don't think there's a provision in the code for a re-subdivision. We're just doing a subdivision under the code. That's what they call it. Does the access area to lot 2 then need to be not an easement, but part of the actual lot 2?
In this case, both of the lots are lots in depth because neither have the minimum required frontage on the street. So I do not believe that the access easement needs to be part of lot 2.
Okay. And then in the subdivision section of the code, in the subdivision section, in the tentative plat section, section 156026, I know you spoke to this, but generally, we're supposed to be reviewing the tree survey, the landscape plan, the grading, and the drainage plan as part of the tentative plat, and as part of the landscape plan as part of the lot and depth subdivision. That's 159.0008. You spoke to this just a second ago, but shouldn't we be, aren't we required to look at that right now?
No, when we're dealing with a subdivision such as this, where there are no new roads, either private or public being constructed, no parkway vegetation, no on-site detention required, the only review of landscaping or drainage or grading would occur when plans come in for a house on this particular lot. So normally when the commission looks at a subdivision, it is for a much larger area. And those improvements, the landscaping, the drainage, those are for the subdivision in its entirety. Never when a plan commission looks at a subdivision do they see at that time a landscape plan, for instance, for each individual lot. So
Okay.
it would not be required for this type of a minor subdivision.
Okay. And then with respect to the property at 483, that's that was the Hallen property that Hallen sold essentially the backyard to Salone in 1986. That section of the code, the petitioner reference 156.007 and A1, it says you can do this provided it doesn't create any lot which is not in full conformance with the zoning code, like petitioner said. In our case, the 483 property, I eyeballed it. I'm estimating the distance between the rear of the house and the rear property line now is like 10 feet, maybe 12, maybe 15. But the setback currently in the R1 and the setback in 1986 was 35 feet, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so so this section 156.007A1 wasn't satisfied in 1986, right?
It was not. As Mr. Edelman said, this transfer of land happened without any city approval, but we did speak to the city attorney about that, and the information we received is the city cannot undo a sale that has been in place since the mid-1980s.
Right. I guess my question then, the next question would be, so it seems like tonight what we're doing, since the subdivision in 1986 wasn't effective, tonight we're actually doing the subdivision of the 483 property and the part of the proposed lot 2, the backyard of 483. Would that be a fair statement?
No, the action you're taking tonight does not include the 483 property. We specifically asked that question, and there's no way we can compel that new property owner to be part of this subdivision. So in effect, what we are simply acknowledging that sale happened a few decades ago, and we are really looking at the Sloan property and essentially doing a cleanup, recognizing that the transfer happened without the appropriate approvals, but now to allow the Sloan property to be properly configured, properly documented, available for sale, we are simply consolidating and essentially acknowledging or accepting a mistake that happened a number of years ago.
Okay, so then my last question, and this is just a hypothetical, but could I tomorrow sell my backyard or our backyard to my neighbor, and then next month my neighbor come in and say, we want to subdivide because we have this extra property and we'll build a house on the backyard and the contiguous land on his property or her property?
No, I don't believe you could do that. Certainly if someone came in a month later, we would have the records that showed that transfer happened without the proper approvals. We have had situations like that where a parcel has been transferred recently and someone has come in either with a permit to build a home and the survey doesn't match what's recorded, and we do go back and make sure we go through an appropriate administrative property line shift or subdivision. This, certainly things happened a number of decades ago that were not always consistent with the code, and occasionally they happen today. And we're trying to properly document and make sure that going forward, these two Sloan properties are properly recorded and documented with appropriate easements.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Athenson?
Can you hear me okay?
Still faint.
Really? Oh, okay. Well, I'll speak up a little bit. So I just wanted to confirm, just make sure I understand this correctly. So Mr. Edelman, they're going to be having a shared driveway? Is that what they plan on doing for these two lots?
You're on mute.
Yeah, it's effectively a shared driveway. I don't know what the definition of shared driveway is. They don't both own it. Lot 1 will own title to the land comprising the driveway, fee simple title. Lot 2 will have insurable, that's title insurable access via a new easement agreement. And we're providing not only access via the easement, but we're providing underground easements for utilities.
And, I wasn't quite sure, where is that parcel that was the backyard that was sold? I couldn't really, because it's already incorporated to lot 2. How big was that parcel that was sold?
It's Kathy, if staff could put up the proposed subdivision, it's essentially take the side yard lot lines of 483 and extend them straight back. In fact, there's a line showing right now. Yeah.
One?
See that faint line?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, where the cursor's going?
Yeah.
That's the parcel. It was a little over 20,000 square feet of land. No, there's no doubt in my mind, had proper channels been followed, the city wouldn't have approved it if it left 483 non-conforming as to the rear yard setback.
So did you have a conversation with 483? Are they aware? I mean, first of all, it is not conforming, but are they aware of the situation at all?
Yeah, they are, because in 2016 and 17, when George Covington was involved, they were kicking around the idea of making it a 3-lot subdivision, including the new owners of 483. But then staff consulted with the city attorney, and the city attorney advised that we leave 483 out of it. That they're stuck with a legal non-conforming situation, unfortunately, because that's how they acquired it. And you can correct me if I'm misstating this, Kathy, but the city attorney felt that it's only appropriate for us to be addressing the Sloan's property.
There was not an intent. There is no ability for the city to require the Sloans to sell back, nor the current owner of 483 to buy enough property to make the house on the 483 property conforming today. A non-conforming situation was created on the 483 lot when the parcel was sold. It is not a illegal non-conforming situation. It is a illegal non-conforming situation, and that is the burden on the 483 lot. The subdivision, the re-subdivision that is in front of you does not request any variances. The current setbacks for lots in depth, which do exceed the setbacks that were in place when the Sloans first did their subdivision in 1978, but the current plat reflects the current setbacks for both of the Sloan lots.
I guess I'm just a little concerned about 483, that their ability to expand might be impacted by this, but it seems that they knew what was happening back in 2016, so they're totally aware of it.
I can confirm they received mailed notice of this hearing. We did not hear from them, nor, I don't know if they're present, but certainly during public comment, if they have comments to offer. But again, the city cannot force either the sale or the purchase of a portion of the Sloan property. We are trying to accept and correct an error that occurred, and, you know, errors occur.
Okay, all right, thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Douglas?
I have no questions.
Commissioner Dixon?
I have no questions.
I have one question for Kathy. Are there other cases that have come to light because of this, and how do you make sure it doesn't happen again? Does the city receive copies of recorded documents?
From time to time, we become aware of situations where a parcel has been transferred between property owners, not very often, but we usually uncover it when a property is being sold or someone wants to do something with their property. Certainly when we receive inquiries from property owners, we alert them that either a subdivision is needed or an administrative property line shift. And we do have a process in place for situations that meet the administrative property line shift requirements.
Are there any other questions or clarifications requested by commission members? Then at this time, we would invite comments from the public not to exceed 5 minutes per speaker. The dial-in number again is 847-810-3643. Michelle, do we have anyone on the line or in line?
Chairman, we do not currently have anyone on the line, and I do not see any raised hands. Cam,
Okay.
do you see any raised hands?
I do not see any raised hands currently.
So, Chairman Kerr, we hand it back to the commission.
Thank you. Then we're open for any final questions the commission may have to the petitioner or staff. Any requests for additional information? Seeing none, I presume no petitioner rebuttal is needed,
No, but I'd like to make one comment.
please.
I understand Commissioner Moorhead's and Athenson's concern about Lot 483. I'm not certain how that actually was able to happen, because you can't just take a parcel of land and convey it. There's such a thing called the Plat Act. And when you do a carve out like this, a Plat Act affidavit has to accompany the deed in order to get recorded. So I think in part, perhaps the recorder of deeds goofed up back in 1986, even allowing that transfer to take place. But what do you do now? So, and to prevent the same kind of thing from happening again, I don't know how many people are aware that we have this property line shift provision in our subdivision codes. But a diligent attorney would be talking to city staff first before you do something like this. It just makes sense. So it's unfortunate it happened in 1986, but even if there were a way to compel a reconveyance of that parcel back to 483, how do you establish market value? How do you make someone pay for something they may no longer want? How do you make somebody sell something? So it's a conundrum, but to a certain extent, I'm relieved that the city attorney didn't feel that we needed to address that what we really needed to address was the Sloan's property and cleaning that up. And I would agree with Kathy Cerniak's comments that 483 is left with an illegal, non-conforming lot, and they're going to have a tough time if they ever come in requesting a building permit.
And I will just add, today, I can't speak to what the relationship was like in 1986, but city staff closely coordinates with the county recorder's office. We often send questions back and forth and verify plats and surveys. So I can't speak to whether that relationship existed in the 80s, but it does today.
Okay.
Kathy, does that mean, and Mr. Edelman, I don't want to belabor the point, but does that mean 483 has some cleanup work to do on their subdivision and plat?
Frankly, I wouldn't know how they can clean it up short of demolishing the house and building a new one within legally compliant setbacks. I mean, how do you clean that up at this point? Kathy, I defer to you.
There isn't, I mean, they could certainly come in and request a variance, but I would see no reason for them to do that until they wanted to expand or make a change. Again, many homes throughout our community are non-conforming because some were built before the city even adopted a zoning code. Others were built to meet setback requirements in the 30s or 50s or whenever, and later the zoning setback requirements change. So a non-conforming condition for a property is not unusual. How this situation came to be is unusual.
Do we have any idea why or how the original, this doesn't matter, but why the original sale happened in 86? Like, what was the motivation of the parties, or in 10 seconds or less?
It was an opportunity for the Helens to sell conversational and for the Sloans to gain a bigger yard space to live and use on.
Fair enough.
And still to follow up on that, the owners of 483, wouldn't this have been brought to their attention before they closed on the sale?
The new owners.
The new owners, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people to whom the Howlands sold.
You would think.
They should have hired you, Mike.
Well, they would have gotten a survey, and if the survey had building setbacks on it, that clearly the title company would raise an exception about encroachment beyond the building setback.
Well, now it comes to the time for commission discussion and comment. Commissioner Dixon, do you have any
No further
comments?
comments. No further comments.
Commissioner Douglas?
No, I have no comment.
Commissioner Athenson?
Thank you to the petitioner for working to get this in line and legal. We do have a lot of non-conforming properties. I'm guessing this was probably an access road to the planned road on the east side of the tracks, probably at one point. So, anyways, thank you for coming forward and trying to make this legal for us.
Commissioner Moorhead?
Yeah, I don't really have anything to discuss, although I'll be honest, to be candid, I'm really having difficulty with this one. The 86 conveyance, it was done with legal counsel. James Fouts is on the deed, and I think he has a office up in Waukegan. It doesn't, from a real estate perspective, it doesn't make any sense why they'd convey it in the way they did. It doesn't look like it satisfies the subdivision in 1986, and now we're approving this plat of subdivision that creates a non-conforming use, which appears to violate or not conform with the zoning code. I understand what they're doing. I understand, get everything, but from the code perspective, I don't know if this this petition complies with the code, because then it creates the non-conforming use or non-conforming setback issue on the 483 property. That's
Does it create it, or does it simply acknowledge it at this point?
Yeah, it's already been created. It was created 35 years ago.
Correct.
well, the subdivision didn't occur in 1986. It was a conveyance. It's not an issue of, it's an issue of what the subdivision creates it in order to, and Kathy, correct me if I'm wrong, but in order to approve the subdivision, it can't create any non-conforming.
It's not creating any non-conforming enough.
Right.
There's nothing being created. The non-conforming issue is already there. The subdivision's not creating the non-conforming issue. Whether we do nothing tonight, the non-conforming issue on 483 is still present.
And the Halland sold the house to the new owners with this in place.
Oh, I get that, and I'm assuming the 43 owners used a legal counsel and had the title company underwrite it, and had I'm assuming financing with a lender underwriting it. I mean, I get it. I listen to everyone else's input, but I don't know. I'm just raising that as my concern.
We'll come back to you then. Commissioner Freeman.
Kathy, can I just ask, the city attorney did a review of this, it sounds like, from what Mr. Edelman was telling us?
Yes, the city attorney reviewed this situation, initially advised that we could simply shift the property line and incorporate that parcel. The city engineer thought it best to deal with what I'll call a remnant parcel, to incorporate it through a plat of re-subdivision and establish clearly the easement.
And the non-conforming lot that borders it is not part of this petition or under our consideration by us. It's
Correct.
just left the way it is.
Correct.
So we're not being asked to do anything about that, and city attorney hasn't told us that we need to do it.
Correct. In fact, very much the opposite, that we could not compel the sale, the purchase, or any shifting of that property line. We have no ability to compel the current owner of 483 to do anything.
Yeah, there's some pretty long-standing property rights there. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from commissioners? Then I would entertain a motion.
I'll make
Is there
a motion.
anyone who?
I'll
Yes,
make a motion.
Commissioner Dixon?
I'll make the motion to recommend tentative and final approval of this re-subdivision of the subject property, subject to the prior recording of the plot of the subdivision and all applicable fees, and prior to the issuance of a building permit for the new residents on Lot 2, all impact fees shall be paid.
And there's an item 2. Do you want that to be included on page 4?
Yes, I think I just said, yeah.
Just
I
said that, sorry. I was reading the other one. Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, now we do roll call votes. Is Michelle doing the roll call, Kathy, or are you?
I am. I'm all you got.
Okay.
Commissioner Atkinson. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Dixon,
Aye.
Commissioner Freeman,
Aye.
Commissioner Douglas,
Aye.
Commissioner Moorhead,
Nay.
Chairman Kerr,
Aye.
and Commissioner Artman Ruggles is absent. You have five ayes, 1 nay. The motion passes.
Thank you. And now we come to any other issues or items, the opportunity for the public to address the Plan Commission on matters not on the agenda. Commissioner, excuse me, Mr. Edelman.
Again, thank you for accommodating us tonight with this hearing. I'm glad we kept it at 45 minutes. I couldn't help but notice your last meeting went over 4 hours on one agenda item, and I really want to commend all of you for the time and effort you put in on behalf of this city. It's not an easy job. Clearly, in the past few years, there have been a lot of long, lengthy, contentious petitions, and you're in a tough seat, and I want to thank you all for volunteering to do this for the city.
Thank you.
Mike?
Seeing no further business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Chairman Kerr, can I just
Yes.
make one comment?
Please.
I believe that Chairman Kerr and Commissioner Freeman are at the end of their terms, depending on whether the mayor and city council make the appointments at the first meeting in May. But I just at least wanted to acknowledge I'm sorry that we can't do something in person, but hopefully someday soon we will be able to do so. But both of you have contributed an amazing amount of time, effort, wisdom to our community, and I've appreciated your support. Thank you both.
Here, here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Well, I really am looking forward to someone seconding this motion, which is why I'm asking if there is a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Not to second the complimentary comments on you or and Commissioner Freeman.
No, just to adjourn. the
Motion
meeting.
to adjourn, last order of business. Thank you.
Last order of business, motion to
Thank
adjourn. Do I hear, was that
Second.
complete?
Second.
Okay, then is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, I guess we have to take a roll call on this?
No, you don't.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, and thank you very much
Thank
for your
you.
support through the years. And it's been a pleasure to serve with all of you. Thank you.
Indeed. Thanks all.
Good
Thank
night.
you both.
Good night.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.